the outline for this video about the why behind for FOIL. F-O-I-L. First, outer, inner, last. First, I use an explanation for the case of positive numbers. Then I could talk through each of the cases like I did in the distributed property video, but instead, I talk about a general explanation for FOIL that works for all cases. This general explanation uses distributed property. At the end of this explanation, I explain why I don't exactly normally use the acronym FOIL to distribute such problems and explain why and what method I do use, basically showing do what works for you. I want to find the total area of this whole rectangle in two different ways, and those two expressions would then be equal to each other. One way to find the total area of this rectangle is to multiply the total length to the total width. 5 plus 3, and that times 4 plus 2. Another way to find the total area of this rectangle is by adding the areas of the inner rectangles. Here's the area of the first inner rectangle. The inner rectangle's length times the inner rectangle's width. Here's the area of the second inner rectangle, and so on and so on. And so that means that those two expressions on the right are equal to each other. And so that means that we can do FOIL first, outer, inner, last to distribute this expression on the right. And you can do likewise with variables. So we start out with parentheses a plus b, and that times parentheses c plus d. Now based on the commutative property of multiplication, we get this. And based on the distributive property, we get this. And again, we use the commutative property of multiplication. And again, we use the distributive property, and we get this. If I just want to use the abbreviation of FOIL, first, outer, inner, last, to solve a problem on a homework or test, then I'll just write down these two steps. However, I find out when I do this, often I make mistakes, and so I often also write this one as well. So basically, do what works for you. Thank you for watching this video about the why behind for FOIL. To the left is a similar video about the why behind for distributive property, and to the right is a playlist about the why behind for the commutative property of multiplication.